Thanks, Jolene. So welcome everybody to the Bike Walk Commission meeting for January. We've got 3 commissioners and a couple of de facto commissioners as well. I guess the first piece of business I have is news or an announcement, and that is late breaking, and that is that Barbara has resigned from the commission. She was planning on resigning anyway, or her term was up, I think, at the end of June this year, and she was not going to renew it as she was moving to Vermont. But because her move has gotten complicated, she's got a lot on her plate. She's decided to step down effective yesterday. So we'll miss her. She did a lot of work relating to events for the commission, spearheaded basically every event that we did since before I got involved and before I can remember. And played a really good role in connecting us with the public and helping to share our vision and our purpose with the public. So we will miss her. We wish her all the best going to Vermont. Hopefully she can get involved in walkability up there too. With that said, it's on the agenda for later, but because it relates to Barbara, I want to mention recruiting really quickly. It's important that we continue to try and find people who will do this work with us. And in particular, to replace Barbara, it would be great if we could find somebody who is motivated to work on and focus on walking and walkability, because that's what Barbara mostly had her focus on in addition to events. So we'll revisit that at the end of the meeting if we have some more time, but I wanted to get that out there at the beginning. With that said, it looks like we've got a few more people here. Is there anybody from the public who would like to provide public comment?
Oh, Tanner, sorry, before we start.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Did you approve the minutes? I don't know. Did that happen or does it have to happen?
It's on the agenda. We'll do it after the public comment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a couple members of the public as attendees, and then there's a couple.
I had to figure out how to join from my phone. Sorry, everyone. Hello.
Oh, hey, Sam. Thanks for joining. Yeah, there's a couple people who I was in contact with previously who have joined, and then a couple people I don't recognize. I'm glad you have made it. Looks like we got Charles and Evan and Emily. If you have a comment, if you'll raise your hand and we'll go one at a time.
Tanner, I invited a couple of the people you mentioned today, just maybe they weren't listening in. I don't know if they did want to comment, but I just invited them to, they may just want to listen in.
Sure. Yeah. And if that's the case, that's fine. Oh, Evan's got his hand up. Go ahead, Evan.
Hi. I don't know if you guys can see me, but I was invited by Christine, as she mentioned. Just want to see what the group is about. I'm an avid cyclist. That can really help you with the walking, although I do quite a bit of walking, mostly around Silvermine. So it's a mix of streets and sidewalks, but certainly an active member of the cycling and walking community. I do about 2,000 to 3,000 miles on the bike each year, all around the area. So I can certainly give a lot of input there. But that's it. That's my brief intro.
Well, thanks for joining, Evan. Thanks. We appreciate your involvement. It looks like, Charles, do you have something to say? Yeah, go ahead.
Talk, Sherry. Just talk. Sure. Just tell them who you are. Just talk.
Hi, I'm sorry, Brendan. I might be on Charles' iPad.
Yes. Yeah, you're showing up as Charles.
Yeah, I just found out about the committee and was invited to come. So I'm just kind of exploring at this time as a member of the public. I can't get too involved because I've had some major surgeries that are kind of tying me up through the year, but I'd love to do whatever I can to help as a member of the public.
Excellent. Thanks for joining. I didn't catch your first name. Can you give that again?
Sherry, S-H-A-R-I, and my
Sherry.
last name is Brennan.
Well, Sherry, thanks very much for joining. Regardless of your capacity to contribute, you are always welcome here. Mm-hmm. And I hope that we can find some ways for you to contribute.
Yeah, I used to go to the mayor's walks when he was doing the walks on Saturday morning, and I really enjoyed those. And I do like to bicycle as well once I'm back on track. But I think they're both important things to have. I mean, I think it's really important to have a neighborhood and a community where we've got a lot of outdoor activities for people too. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I don't think there's anybody else. Emily said that she's just here to listen. Thanks for coming, Emily. And that's everybody that I recognize from the public, with the exception of our longtime Gary. Thanks for joining, Gary. So yeah, let's move on to the minutes. I think that we just need a motion here. Does somebody want to move to accept the minutes from the December meeting that Delene took for us?
Well, actually, I wanted to make a comment.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because it looks like, because Judd was at the meeting, I think he was late, but his name is not listed under the attendance. But he motioned the adjournment,
Ah, good catch.
right, Judd?
I think you're right, Christine.
Okay,
Yep, and it looks like Judd in these notes, excuse me, got a frog in my throat. Judd even moved to approve the minutes at the beginning of that meeting, so he must not have been very late. Yeah, Jolene, do you mind, is it possible to update that? I mean, it's not crucial, but
Yep, I'll make the change. Thank you.
cool, awesome. Mike Yosak has joined. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, good morning or good afternoon.
So yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and move to accept the minutes with that one edit. Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Judd. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Then the motion passes. Cool. Let's move on. Our first agenda item is an update from Greg about the Connecticut Community Connectivity Grant. So just for because we have a few new people today, I'm going to introduce with a little more detail all of our agenda items. The city of Norwalk applied for a grant from the state of Connecticut to establish an east-west and a north-south bike route through the city that mostly consists of dedicated painted bike lanes. I don't remember the fraction, but I would guess it was like 70 or 80% of the route is covered in dedicated lanes, with the rest being made up with sharrows that instruct cyclists to share the road with cars. And Greg's going to provide an update on that. Go ahead, Greg.
So yeah, so obviously we're still moving along with the design plans. DOT a couple months ago had submitted back some some comments and after their initial review, and we've been having a lot of discussions back and forth, and they're they're heavily invested in this just because it's one of their largest on-street bike route that they've actually installed throughout the state. So for an on-street network. So they're kind of doing their due diligence, and they're really looking at practically every symbol and every foot of striping that we're putting in to make sure that it's up to what they would like it to be, and what their standard is, and as they kind of develop their own bike standard as well for their state routes as well. We've been kind of incorporating that and having heavy discussions with them on how they can kind of develop their bike standards as well for the rest of the state as well, and other municipalities. So we work on that.
So it sounds like there's a little bit of back and forth then, where they're informing you and you're also informing them.
Yeah, for a most part, it's just a lot of, in certain situations where it may not be, by the, that's, specifically defined in some areas, and
Yeah.
so just going back and forth and getting this to a point where, they're happy with everything, and we can, progress this, as we go into next year. So we're just coordinating with them to finalize the designs, and once, we're completed, then we will submit back to them, and, then they'll approve it, and then we will look to the next phases and installation and bidding and whatnot to get it done.
Great. Well, I just want to reinforce the point that you just made, Greg, that this is the longest bike route that the Connecticut State DOT has had to approve ever. Am I understanding that right?
On street, yes.
Yes, and on street. I guess we've got trails like the canal path that goes north out of New Haven. It's probably longer.
Those ones are, that's different, but this is
That's different.
network. And then, with the bike boxes we're proposing at the couple at the intersections, so that's where we're just make sure we're all on the same page, finalize the design plans, and their engineers are happy with how we're progressing, and they're excited about it just as much as we are.
Great, love to hear it.
Yeah.
Any questions from other commissioners about this update?
Sort of related to that, I just, we talked about this, Tanner and Greg, but if the other members haven't noticed, on Reed Street, which is the street that goes uphill toward 95 from the mall, there are new bike lanes there, and at the intersection, there are bike boxes there. So that's a great addition to our network, and I
Yes.
want to thank Greg and TMP and DPW for working to get that done. I guess, Greg, that went in, what, just maybe a month or so ago?
Yeah, at the end of the season, Reed Street was slated to be paved. Once the season got later, we had a couple of warmer days where the paving contractor was able to go in and get Reed Street done. And once we noticed that that they did pave it, we were able to hop out into the field and do a quick dimensioning, and we were able to, before they restriped it back to the existing layout, we wanted to change the layout and change the striping on it, so we were able to fit in bike lanes on both sides, and as well as the bike box at the intersection of Stewart Avenue as well, on both approaches on Reed Street to Stewart Avenue and Cedar Street. So we were very pleased that we were able to do that, for this project. And, we obviously moving forward, we want to keep doing the same thing. We want to find, those roadways that can be, restriped, especially on a lower cost level. And, obviously the city doesn't have, endless funds to redo curbing and infrastructure on every roadway, but especially these lower costs roadways that are paved, we can definitely, do the striping that can definitely change the street, and definitely open it up for multimodal use and for all users, especially for bicyclists in this regard.
Well, and if I'm correct, I don't think there are sidewalks on most of Reed, is there?
Correct. I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, so the bike lane makes it a little more walkable too. It's a safer walking shoulder than what
Right.
was there before.
So I've got it pulled up here on the map. On the south side of Reed Street, there is a sidewalk that goes all the way down the hill to the mall.
Okay,
But on the other side, there's no sidewalk.
Yep.
Oh, wait, I'm sharing the wrong window. Whoopsie. Let's put that there. That worked? Yeah, that worked. Okay. Yeah, Greg, we really appreciate the proactivity from TMP in identifying that repavement and getting that in really quickly.
And just on also, just
Yeah.
add to, so Jim and Garrett also, they meet with DPW on a bi-weekly basis, and they coordinate scheduling and determining striping for newly paved roads and any other utility work that may be going on that may delay some of those roads being paved. And discuss any other projects pertaining both departments. So, we're consistently meeting with them and also working with them to develop improved city standards for sidewalks and curbing as well, and how we can improve those for the future. So we're trying to, to get a better collaboration between the two departments, especially as we, intertwine on many different projects. So we're trying to, to align and streamline the process, especially in the winter time now and going into the project season.
Great. One related item, Greg, we discussed this briefly over email. You mentioned that in lieu of having a separate meeting to go through the paving schedule and be aligned on that you could at the beginning of each meeting, and this month is fine. We can start this next month. But you could go through just the highlights of the paving schedule, and in particular, what's going to be restriped and if there's going to be a change to the striping. Is that
Right.
something we could start next month?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is the paving season isn't going to start.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because the asphalt plants don't even fire up until like March or
No.
April, right?
Yeah, and I mean, as far as which roads at what, day or what week they're going to get paved, that's, that's not, yes, they're on the list to get paid in, per se 2022, but that doesn't mean we don't know when exactly they're going to be paid, what specific time. So it all depends, like for instance, Reed Street was on the schedule last year, but they didn't pave it till, late November.
Mhm.
So that's, it's kind of unknown when it's going to get paved. So it all
I
depends.
guess, I mean, if you could just take whatever Jim learns in that,
Right.
that bi-weekly meeting with DPW, and if there's stuff that's relevant to biking and walking, if you could bring that to us.
Right. Yeah, we'll do the best we can to share as much as we can, knowledge that we get from those meetings.
Okay, sounds good.
Tanner,
Go ahead, Judd.
the paving schedule, I think, is a public document. Is that correct, Greg?
Yes, it's on the DPW website,
Right.
in the road paving section.
So it's something we can look at and ask questions about too, just to
Yeah, so
make this work better between us and TMP.
So I think this gets at another line of work that I've been working on. I've been trying to reach out to DPW to see if they would participate in our meetings. In the like when we were established as a commission by the Common Council, it said that one of our participants should be a representative from DPW. And I think Mike Yosak, I think at one point you were in DPW, and I think maybe you were even assigned as that representative, but you're no longer in DPW, is that right?
That's correct. The TMP was part of DPW one time, about 3 years ago, it split.
Ah, that's right. Gotcha. So now that that's changed, I personally, I think that it would be fruitful to have somebody from DPW attend our meetings. And we could ask questions like that. Like I don't think it's as productive to, like, if Judd, to your point, if we're going to ask questions about the paving schedule, to have to go through TMP to do that, because TMP doesn't really own that. Does that make sense, Judd?
Yeah, yeah.
So I will keep working on that. Greg, if you happen to run into Anthony Carr, and if you ask him to respond to my email, that would be much appreciated.
And I know one thing that may be, is staff time as well. Because this is another night meeting. A lot of the engineers do attend, they're attending other meetings.
Sure.
They are limited. So if they attend, that's, extra time that they're allotted for, for night meetings as well. So it's also a staffing issue as well. So, I mean, at worst case, being the staff liaison, I can speak with, DPW if you guys have any questions in the meantime, or, maybe a month here or there, I'm able to ask, someone from DPW to come. So, that's it. Like I said, it all depends on, their availability as well, because they have other things going on at the same time.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I'll keep that conversation with you going offline.
Okay.
Any other questions though about the north, south, and east, west bike routes, the connectivity grant, or about Reed Street?
Yeah, Tanner, I got a question.
Go ahead, Colin.
Greg, do you have a timeline as to when we anticipate starting work?
As far as all we're gunning for is we want to get it installed this year, between the spring, summertime. That's we've been working around the clock with all our resources, with all our other projects going on to get this done. And, at the same time, we've been trying to meet with the state at least once, twice a week, just to keep them on the same page as us, so that the review process goes much smoother and much quicker than our first submittal, because they are the ones that actually have to sign off on the 136 route. So we're hopeful by the spring, summertime this year, it will be installed.
Or at least you'll start.
Yeah, at least start. Yeah, we'd like to at least have it. Our goal right now is to get the design finished and submitted to them by the this winter.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on that topic? Great. I think then we can move on to our next agenda item, which is from Christine. Christine's got two, well, in particular, Christine's got one thing about the sidewalk hazards around Norwalk High. And then another agenda item that she brought up that I think is more for us to discuss is about the League of American Bicyclists. So Christine, do you want to start? I can share those photos.
Okay, yeah, sure. I just wanted to, well, welcome the new people. If I could make a request just for the commissioners and everybody, is to the use of the acronyms. Everybody, most of us know what they mean. Sometimes I don't actually still, but maybe to not use acronyms for when we have new members of the public, so they know what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay, so Department of Public Works. Okay, so this is actually my walking neighborhood, and I was taking this photo. So one thing that I used is called the click and request for the DPW site. I'd like everybody to be aware of that. I think most of us are here, but for the public, it's click and request. It's on the DPW site. If you see a hazard, you can report it. You take a picture and you upload it, and you can download the app on your phone, and it's very easy. And I'm so happy to say that I took a walk the other day because I saw this last week. Not this one. This one is still here, but the one right. If you look straight ahead, Norwalk High is on the left. Right up there, there was one on the sidewalk there, and it's been fixed. And they painted a circle around it, and this has been removed, but it was the same kind of a metal. It looks like a sign. It used to be a sign. So this sidewalk that you were looking at right now it's a residence, I guess. So I just don't know if it was a sign, who's responsible for that, but it's very hazardous for people who are walking. It's, an older person or anybody can trip over that. And it's dangerous. So those are my comments about this.
Thanks, Christine.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that that sidewalk maintenance falls squarely in DPW, again, Department of Public Works. Is that the case? Anybody want to refute that?
Yeah, Tanner, as far as like current concrete sidewalks, it is under DPW. As far as any, anything that's any hazard or anything. So yeah, you can, take a picture and send it to customer service, or any current sidewalk that's in need of repair. Anything that's not a sidewalk is under TMP.
So if this is not concrete, it looks like this one is asphalt. Does that mean it falls under TMP?
Yeah, I mean, Mike, you may probably.
If it's an existing sign, it's a DPW.
It is DPW? Okay.
Yeah, it probably was hit by a vehicle or something like that, so they may not be aware of it. So it is a good thing to point out and send in.
Okay.
Okay,
But
so-
the asphalt walkway, because it's an asphalt curb, isn't that a TMP item?
No, anything existing is
Anything existing? Okay, even if it's not an ADA compliant?
yes.
Okay, gotcha. And
Okay, so-
Tanner, just to give you a quick heads up,
Yep.
on the sidewalk inventory while we're on this topic, VHB is about 50% completed with the inventory process right now for the assessment.
Oh, it started.
Yes, yep,
Oh, I didn't even know it started.
yep. They,
Great.
with the weather, they've kind of had to slow up a little bit on their progress, but they're about halfway there to completing the inventory phase, at least, of the process.
Great.
I've have to build the mapping for us and build us the database, but as far as the collection process, they're about 50% there.
That's great. Just quick for context for all of our new people here. This is a sidewalk audit that has been on our radar for a while. It's something that we've asked for. It's something that TMP has been interested in for a while as well. At one point, we even kicked around the idea of crowdsourcing this and using volunteers to go out and audit. But thankfully then TMP was able to find funds to hire a consultant to do it. And that's VHB, you said?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so the consulting company doing it is VHB, and they've previously done similar work for the city, which I think allowed them to kind of bootstrap the process. And so what this entails is they're going through and documenting every single sidewalk in the city, along with at least some information about the makeup of the sidewalk, like the material and the the state that it's in. Is that right, Greg?
Correct, yeah, so they'll do existing conditions report on it and anywhere sidewalks are missing. And that's for our main, as far as, TMP's kind of goals, this is to kind of evaluate where there aren't any sidewalks and where they are deficient, whether it's a short segment or the entire corridor missing sidewalks. And then also the existing sidewalks and the current conditions of them.
Great. Well, that's good news. Thanks, Greg. What's the estimated timeline on that
Yeah,
going forward?
They're hopeful by the end of the winter time, by early spring, they should have everything completed, and delivered to us so that we can start seeing everything. So it's, like I said, they've been doing the collection and then they have to still build the database and the network.
Great. Colin, it looked like you had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to get some clarification from Greg and from Mike if possible, and also point out to people that there are the street signs, there is a minimum height requirement for those when they're above walking paths for ADA regulations. So if you feel like you're getting hit in the head by a sign frequently, that's one thing that the public and other commissioners could request, is that DPW look at raising those signs so that they're compliant and not obstructions for pedestrians. So that's just another thing to keep in mind when you're looking for issues that would make your walking better. So what I was looking for was if either Mike or Greg could clarify just what is in DPW's purview for fixing when people report, and what would fall on the property owner, because sidewalks are unfortunately one of those things where the private property owner can get saddled with the burden of replacing the work, and the city might have some of that, but not always. And I just want people to be aware of who they're complaining, because the city can actually file a lien on the property owner. In some cases, that's a good thing, and in some cases it might be, create tension between neighbors. So I just want people that are listening to be aware that sidewalks are a little tricky.
Right. Yeah, no, they certainly are. And obviously it's different in every case. I mean, if we are going to put sidewalks within the right of way, then it's within our, jurisdiction to put them there. But of course, yeah, it does get difficult sometimes because not everybody wants a sidewalk in front of your house, like you said, Colin. And, sometimes they don't want to keep up with the maintenance of it, especially in the winter time, clearing the snow, when a, ADA compliant sidewalk is put in front of their house. So it does get a little complicated sometimes for some property owners, as much as, people do like sidewalks and whatnot. Not everybody does like it in front of their house. So it does become somewhat complicated at times.
So what kind of a repair would fall under DPW as opposed to be something that is the private property owner? So we're looking here at like a deteriorated post base for a sign, and there's a hidden, I can't read it on Tanner's thing, a hidden drive.
Yeah, hidden drive.
Yeah, and then there's also perhaps some deteriorated pavement at the seam there where the old post used to be. So how much of that is DPW purview or TMP city purview, I'll say. And if there's cracking and disheveled sidewalk, is that, or footpath in this case, I don't know what you're classifying it as. Would any of that be on the private property owner, the abutter?
That's a good question. Mike, do you want to get a little more into that, or?
It's really kind of on by ordinance, the property owner is responsible for existing sidewalks to repair them. But if the whole neighborhood is in disrepair, or if there's a paving project coming in, then DPW usually will look at doing it as part of the road paving project.
So,
Right. Yeah,
so let me ask the question in a different way, Mike, because we had an incident. Well, not an incident. We had a situation a couple of years ago where one of the commissioners had, I think, done the click and request for a tree root or something like that, and then they found out that this was an issue with the private property owners of the city. I think asked the private property owner to address it. So something like a tree root growing through the sidewalk, how does that get treated? Who's responsible? Is that a gray area, or is that the private property owner needs to remove the tree and repair the sidewalk?
I mean, it's a changing situation, Colin, because now there's new tree ordinances.
Mhm.
So is a tree, if the tree is in the public right of way, it might be a different situation than if it's a, private tree.
Okay, so I guess the best we can do is it gets a little muddy, but signs and things that are mounts, I'll say, for current city inventory, like road signs, or former city inventory, like the leftover post base. Those are city issues for sure.
Those, yes,
And-
those are definitely city issues, and the height is, if it's a low,
Okay,
low height,
and then
certainly we'll have to, adjust it.
crumbling sidewalk is a little up in the air unless it's
Yeah, I
it's a
mean,
complete stretch of block.
Yeah, as you guys probably know, sidewalks have been neglected for a long time in town. So we're trying to work and resolve that and
Okay.
make it better for everyone. But if the city was to replace every sidewalk in town that is crumbling, I mean, it's really unaffordable for everyone right now.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification, Mike, and for the good question, Colin. Before we leave this topic, I did want to just show the click and request app that Christine was mentioning. For things that are under DPW's purview, this is what I understand is the way that they prefer to receive reports from residents or from anybody. Here's the web page. It's an app that you can get on your smartphone. And I've used it once before, and you can submit a picture, and you can submit the location and additional details about the problem that you're reporting. So I'd encourage people to use this. In my experience, the one time that I did use it, there wasn't a whole lot of transparency around where the report went and whether it was looked at and what follow-up action was taken. And that's something that I'd like to take up with DPW. But again, I'm still kind of at the stage where I'm trying to establish a relationship with DPW. So we got to go one step at a time.
Well, Tanner, can I just
Go
say
ahead,
that
Christine.
the times I've used it, it's amazing, the turnaround. Like I said, they
Oh, really?
replied, I get an email and they fixed that one in Norwalk. This other one, it's still open. They're probably trying to get to it. But when you speak to them, I'm wondering if we could ask them about a report, a yearly report on how often this is used, this app, and what are they doing with the data? How are they using that? And is it something that our commission should be kind of know about, to maybe help them use it? Because obviously it's helping them, but maybe we can promote it somehow more, because it was kind of hard to find on the website. I had to search. I had the app, but I still had to search.
That's a good point. Yeah, when I get an audience with DPW, that's a good thing that I will talk to them about.
Okay, and just lastly, this isn't on the agenda, but it's about walking, and Teresa's here. And again, it's Norwalk High. There's a really nice walk around the track. It was cleared from the snow and the ice for people who are disabled. You can bring a wheelchair and it's around the track. It's a path.
You're talking about the one behind City Hall?
Yeah, no, Norwalk High.
Oh, at Norwalk High, excuse me.
The track there, the public can use it, and around the track, the whole circumference is a paved path. But I think it would be nice to promote that for like
Wrong
somebody.
high school.
Oh, that's McMahon. You're right. Sorry.
Anyway, I just thought, it'd be nice if it could be on the webpage for the health department or as a path for people who are disabled. It's easy to bring you can get a wheelchair around the whole thing. And also for the public in the snow, because they don't clear the track, but they clear that paved pathway. So I just wanted to mention that. Sorry, I went off the track here a little, no pun intended. I went off.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. If there's a place on a website where we mention, for example, the track that's behind the city, we should mention this as well if it's indeed open to the public, which it would make sense that it is. So I'll make a note of that.
Okay, it's open to the public when the kids are off school hours. All right, are we ready to move on to the next thing?
Yes. Do you want to introduce that?
Yeah, so I'm a member of the League of American Bicyclists, and it's a national league, and we are a group member. Mike registered us for the past, I think, 2 years to be a group member. So there's an upcoming annual summit they do, and it's usually held in Washington, DC, because they meet with legislators, bike advocates from all over the country. So our state was well represented last year, and last year was hybrid because, I'm sorry, it was online, it was virtual because of the COVID. So I had never been before, but I did attend as a virtual participant. And it's very helpful because it's about advocacy, and you met with the legislators and you meet other Connecticut Bike Walk members of the advocacy groups in Connecticut and all over the country. So they have workshops that you can go. So it's coming up in March. It's March 27th through the 30th. And this year it's both hybrid and virtual. So I didn't know if, I just wanted to put it out to the members here, if anybody wanted to participate in March 27th. If you do, I can send you more information. And I think Mike is renewing the application because at some point we're going to apply for an award, potentially to earn an award, Bicycle Friendly America. Yeah. So here's the summit. Tanner, I know you thought you might be interested in going. It's pretty, I would think it'd be a very cool thing down in DC.
Yeah, if I had infinite time, I would love to go down there in person. Also, if we didn't have a pandemic, who's to say what the pandemic will look like in late March?
Yeah, true.
But
So it's $235 if you do want to go in person, anybody. But I don't know when the application is due for registration, for membership. Mike would know because he seems to be on top of that.
it looks like Evan's got his hand up. Is that from earlier, Evan, or do you have a comment?
Oh, it was a little bit earlier. I was just going to echo Christine's sentiment about that click and request. I mean, I use it on a nearly weekly basis.
Really great.
For illegal dumping, all kinds of stuff. They're super responsive. They let you know that it's been like looked at, in process, and completed. Like all stages are conveyed to the person who submitted it. So I highly recommend.
That's great. It sounds like maybe then my one experience was more of an outlier than the rule, which is good to hear. Cool. Thanks for that comment. I'm sorry I didn't notice your hand until just now. As far as the bike summit goes, a little later on the agenda, we have an item about use for our budget. So I'll just mention right now, this is one thing that we could do with one thing that I think makes sense to use our Bike Walk Commission administrative budget for is to send one or more people to this summit, probably online, given the constraints I mentioned earlier. But let's revisit that when we get to the brainstorming or to the budget section. Also, the membership renewal. Barb sent me a picture. Barb got an envelope because I think that she might have been listed as like the treasurer or something. For some reason, she got an envelope or a letter in the mail from the league saying that we need to renew our subscription or our membership. And I meant to bring it up at our last meeting and I didn't at this meeting. In the past, we've been members of the league. Frankly, I am not exactly clear on what benefits it brings us, but it seems like the kind of thing that would be worth it for us to do. Christine, can you speak to the benefits or the privileges that we get from being a member?
Well, so if you look on the Bicycle Friendly America, that link right above the Bike Summit there, so if you look at communities on that underneath Bike Friendly America, go back up.
Oh.
Yeah, under the
communities. Yes.
Yeah. So we can win an award, and because we're working so hard and we have a cohesive group here and we're doing so much, Greg has been doing so much, and we've talked about this before to apply for this award. So it could benefit us, I think, in a lot of ways, because we could maybe potentially get money out of this. We could write it in our grants that we are a member and that we've done this work and that we won an award. I mean, so there's potential. It's not a lot of money. It's a nonprofit that's been around since the 1800s, this group. I mean, it was the first group to talk about cycling and streets and safety. So it's something to really support. and they meet with legislators. And so, for example, tonight I was learning about the Metropolitan Planning Organization, right? So there's the Southwestern Regional Metropolitan Planning Organization. I'd actually like Greg to speak to this because they meet once a month with many people in the area. If you have a population of over 200,000, and our mayor, I'm going to put it out there, has been, they chose who's attended for these meetings, and he has not been at many of the meetings. So it, you know, I don't know if Greg can make a comment about that, if we should have a role with this organization. But the League of American Bicyclists is talking about the metropolitan planning organizations and how local communities need to be involved for funding purposes for infrastructure. Okay, so so I don't know, Greg, can you speak to that, those meetings with the Western Council, Southwestern Regional Organization?
I would have to run that with the rest of the TMP staff and see what, you know, obviously we are, you know, involved in the regional planning portion and
Yeah.
what, you know, goes on within the state and then to the regional level. But as far as more on a, you know, on this type of level, you know, that's kind of over, you know, over our reach. So we would have to look into this a little bit more and see what would entail for us to get involved in it and how we can, you know, how we can benefit from it and see what we can do.
Well, yeah, and it's really I'm talking about those monthly meetings that
Right.
the mayor and the mayors and the selectmen of the area towns are at. So,
Right.
you know.
So
as-
just to be clear, Christine, you're talking about a meeting that Westcog sets up and they invite a representative from the league and a representative from the towns?
So not from the league. That's my question is, can we go and can we assist the mayor? Like, I mean, he's busy, you know, can we somehow, so we're learning about these things from the regional council, you know, and that there's representation there.
Oh, this is the regional council of the league,
It's, no,
Or-
sorry. It's
or is it Westcog?
So Westcon.
Okay. Why don't, this sounds interesting. I'd like to know more about it. And maybe we could use meeting time better if I could understand this a little bit better before we
Yeah,
bring it up again.
Tanner, I'll send it to you because I just learned about it tonight, but that's just an
Oh, yeah,
example.
okay.
This came from the league. I was looking at the website tonight from the League of American Bicyclists.
Mhm.
And there was all this information about the regional organizations. That's why I brought it up. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of benefits. It's not a lot of money. So that's.
Yeah,
all
I just found it's because we're a community-based organization, that at the local level, it's like $75 a year. So I think it's a no-brainer. Once we get to the budget section, I think let's talk about whether we want to use our budget for that. Any other questions about the league itself? Cool. Let's move on then. We're now a little bit behind schedule. So I'm going to turn the time over to Carly Kramer from the Redevelopment Agency. She's going to talk about a grant that the agency is applying for that will address the walkability and bikeability around the train station in South Norwalk.
Thanks, Tanner. Am I able to share my screen here?
Yes, I just need to stop and I will, yep, there you go.
Okay. All right, so this is a very basic map. We have VHB putting together something a little nicer than this, so bear with me here. We are looking at applying for a DCD grant. It's the Community Challenge Grant, and it will fund street improvements around the train station area. Basically, right now, with all of the increased development, infrastructure in this area is at capacity. So that's, you know, transit capacity, utility capacity, you know, general circulation of the site and throughout the site. So this grant will fund street improvements as well as an additional street in order to support a new proposed development from Spinnaker at 15 to 17 Chestnut, and then future development on both the east and west side of this train station. So along MLK over here, Monroe, Chestnut, Henry to Mulvoy to Franklin to Bates, that is proposed for all new traffic safety improvements, walkability improvements, everything from sidewalks to bike lanes or sharrows, depending on the street, to complete street infrastructure, especially along MLK and a road diet there. So that'll support, the general transportation of the area. And then on Chestnut Street, this blue line, so these 2 blocks of Chestnut, we're also going to be underground utilities there, which will, open up the sidewalk for pedestrians and take away a lot of those obstacles that we have right now, as well as, overall increase the, usability of that infrastructure and those utilities for the increased development in the area. And then over here, we have Station Place, which currently is basically just a driveway into the train station. It doesn't serve as a real road. There's parking all along it. So this will be creating a more defined street. This is just the general location of where it will be. And that'll support a increase of connectivity from the 2, from Monroe Street to Henry Street, as well as supporting shuttles, buses, taxis, bikes, everything from the train station as sort of an intermodal hub. And that's, the bikes and the taxis, that'll all be a permanent fixture of circulation over here. But the buses, it'll support it, but it's also a temporary solution until we figure out a solution for a full intermodal hub, whether that is on the east side of the train station or could also be on the west side. That's part of VHB, what we've hired VHB to do for the South Norwalk TOD plan. And then also over here, there'll be some improvements to the low-income affordable housing condo units over here. So all of this will be supporting the future development to increase the density over here at the train station, making it more walkable and more bike friendly for everybody. So the main purpose of it is to support and what we're applying for is to support, just increase infrastructure for the new development, but overall it'll improve the circulation for multimodal transportation throughout the site.
Thanks, Carly. This is super interesting, and I could probably ask questions about this all day. But I'll first open it up to the other commissioners.
Hi, Carly.
Hello.
What's the total amount of the grant you're hoping to get?
We are applying for, I believe it's 3 million. I think it's just a little over 3 million from DECD.
And what would the timeline be on it roughly? I mean,
within the next 2 to 3 years would be implementation.
Of all the
Hopefully
work.
sooner than of all the work. Yeah. So hopefully sooner than later. Because this building over here, that can't be done until we do all of this work. And Spinnaker wants to get that, that going. But it's not possible until we get this money, and we need to, we need the money from DECD in order to do it, since it's such a large project.
How much of the work does the 3 million cover?
The 3 million covers, it'll be about a 50%. I believe the 3 million is about 50% of the total project. Let me pull up here just so that I can.
And would the rest be made up with city funds?
Yeah, so, or I'm sorry, it may be 6 million that we're applying for. So double that. The rest would be made up with city funds in addition to a land sale, this piece over here where this building is overlapping.
Okay, so that would be sold off.
That would be sold to Spinnaker. So that would be a land transfer as, in kind match.
and that,
Yeah, so that sounds much better of being, you're applying for 6 million, you're matching with 6 that's probably coming from that land swap and or additional funds. Is that more or less the case? So we're looking at
Yeah.
about 12 million in improvements.
Yep,
That sounds much more reasonable based on the scope of the project. Thanks.
yes, yes. The 3 million was another number. I'm thinking of something else.
That land swap there is currently part of the parking lot at the train station?
Yes, so it wouldn't be a land swap, it would be a sale. We'd be getting money for it, not another piece of land. So it would be sold off, but as part of the deal, Spinnaker would provide replacement parking of those 60 spaces that the building would be taking up within this building here.
Those would be public spaces or spaces
Public
available to
spaces.
the public.
Exactly, for the train station.
Gotcha.
So we wouldn't be losing any parking there. And I believe as part of the deal, though, don't quote me on it, that they would be maintaining that also, and therefore it would be in a garage. You know, right now it's all surface parking on the side of the station. That would be in a garage. So, you know, that's also better for, you know, winter days when you come back from the train station, now your car is in a snowstorm. Whereas on the west side, we have that solved, but right now on the east side, it's solely surface parking right now.
So can I ask about that parking? It seems like 60 spots in the grand scheme of the parking around the station, that's like a drop in the bucket, right? Aren't there like 1,000 spots in the garage or like several hundred?
Yes, in the garage, there's, I think about 600 to 700.
750, I think.
750?
I think.
Okay, yeah, something around there. On this side of the station, though, there's not as many spots. So there's about 60 over here that the building would be absorbing. And then there's some additional spots over here, maybe,
Sure.
you know, about 50 spots over here.
I guess what I'd like to suggest is that perhaps requiring them to eat all that parking might not be worth it. Obviously, you guys have studied this more than me, but my initial impression is one that that putting that parking there, oops, excuse me, not only does that mean that it'll induce traffic to come through, I guess, as much as now, right? Because it would be the same number of spots as there are now. But if you compared it to an alternate where instead we just decided to lose those 60 spots, that would be 60 cars less of traffic in the morning and in the evening. And additionally, it might be like a bargaining chip that you could use with Spinnaker and trade that for some other, you know, more lucrative alternative. And in the grand scheme of things, like 60 parking spots is like less than 10% of the entire availability. And on top of that, like with this grant, we're trying to kind of shift the mode share around the station toward more sustainable forms of transportation. So that's sorry, that was a little bit stream of consciousness, but like, has that been looked at, and what does that look like?
Yeah, basically it's not gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
So right now, you know, obviously looking at it from a COVID standpoint, there's less users at the train station, but overall, and assuming that things go back to the way what they were before, there is not enough parking, even with all of those spots on both sides of the train station currently. So they would love to increase the parking. So as much as we want to convert it to.
Your price too low.
Go ahead,
What?
Colin, sorry.
I was just gonna say your price too low.
For the parking?
Yeah,
Debatable. It's $12 for daily parking, which is way higher than everyone else around us. So
Right,
What
but
you
it's
have-
always full.
it's full, but you know, I think that means, and from what the, you know, and this is a whole other conversation, but from the studies that have been done is really just the lack of parking spaces. What you have a lot of times, especially since they're charging the $12 on holidays, weekends, nights as well, when the parking lot isn't full. So maybe, and then talk about, you know, increasing the rate for those weekday, you know, rush hour times. But what you have is a lot of people who are going down to Darien, where parking is free after 3 o'clock. So now they're making an additional trip further away than they would have otherwise, you know, where instead of spending this $12 for parking here, they're going, spending more time in their car to get to free parking. So overall, there's such a demand for parking that they're not going to decrease the parking right now. Now, maybe, and the goal is that if we increase the bikeability of the area, the bike storage area of the area, which is all part of this, that it would convert people to walk more, to bike more, and therefore decrease the need for parking. But as it stands right now, they're not gonna lessen the amount of parking. They're
And when you say they, are you talking about the rest of the redevelopment agency or the parking authority?
I'm talking about the city and the parking authority.
Okay. Related question, what you mentioned VHB, what part of this do they have and what part is the redevelopment agency? Just like help us understand the boundaries there, or like the distinction.
Yep, so VHB was hired for the TOD, the Sono TOD development plan for the area. So they are actively working on a plan for what to do, with all of the infrastructure, the streets of the area. There's only a portion of it. It goes further south, a little further north. And then especially what to do with these publicly owned sites that are underutilized right now. So we are actively working with them. There's a public meeting on Wednesday, if anyone wants to attend that, to see, what plans are so far and be part of that.
So just at a very high level, the grant would fund the work that VHB is planning. Is that right?
Right. So this is the first level of it. We can't do
Yeah.
anything else that VHB is planning without this foundational infrastructure work. So any new development on the Housing Authority or SNU or this 1517 Chestnut, any of this would not be possible until these street improvements are made.
Gotcha. You mentioned bike storage. Do you have any more details about that, or is that just still a high level idea?
Not so high level. As part of VHB's plan for the train station, it would include more bike racks, could even include indoor storage of some type, bike lock boxes or things like that. So, could be part of the garage, the larger intermodal center, could be on the east side. Not exactly sure where it would go, but it's definitely a component of what we're looking at. And then all of these roads, I know Monroe already has a bike lane, but improving that, it could be painting it so that it's more visually divided, separate bike lanes potentially along MLK, and probably Sharrows along Henry, Molvoy, Franklin, and either Sharrows or bike lane on Chestnut. So these are just conceptual ideas right now. This is where the improvements would be, but then, once we secure the funding for it, that's when the higher level designs would be.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. With that said, the decision at this point is just, at least for our commission, is whether we're going to write a letter of support. And I apologize because I told some people that I would bring a written letter to this meeting that we could approve, and I did not get around to that. But as we've done in the past, I think today we would vote on whether we want to submit just kind of a generic letter of support in favor of the grant and the grant application, I should say. Before I go further though, Evan, you've got another question. You got your hand up? Sorry, I just noticed it. I don't know how long.
Yeah, sure. So I was just going to add that as a commuter, I commuted from East Norwalk for many, many years, and there is no daily parking there, and South Norwalk only has the exterior daily parking on that side. You can't park in that garage. While 60 spots doesn't seem like a tremendous amount, you're cutting out a huge portion of the daily parking.
So everything in the garage is just people with monthly passes or yearly passes? Gotcha. Yeah, I did. Although I am also a commuter, I did not realize that because I don't drive to the station. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I had to drive to East Norwalk, and one of the ladies who I used to commute with actually stopped riding her bike to the station. You know, it wasn't about it being pitch black. It was that her bike kept getting vandalized. So I think if you're going to add more, you know, space for bikes, it's got to be more secure than it currently is, because it's a deterrent at this point for people who do want to do that.
That's a good point. I don't know. I'm sure that this belongs in later in the feedback process, but the rack, there's currently a rack inside the garage, and it's at the far end of the garage, which is like the least convenient place for the cyclist, both to get to and to get to the platform from. It seems like a really easy improvement that would make a huge difference to cyclists. You could just move that rack to the other end of the garage, right next to the actual station house. I don't know whose purview that's in, whether that could be done independently of this grant or it could be integrated into this grant. Seems like something you could do for $0.
Tanner, I'll look into it.
Yeah, okay, you'll bring that up with the parking authority?
Yep.
Great, that'd be awesome. Cool. Any other questions that would help inform our decision about whether to support the grant application? Cool, then I think that we can move ahead then, because the next agenda item is from me, and that's about the letter of support.
Tanner, do you want a motion to support it?
If you'd like to make one, that'd be great.
Sure. I'll make a motion that we offer a letter of support in favor of the grant for the VHB study of the, or sorry, Carly, what should I say? The
DECD Community Challenge Grant.
Yeah, so that we support the redevelopment agency and their pursuit of the DECD community grant for the Sono Station area.
Great,
A second.
cool. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Great, it's unanimous. I will write that letter unless there's somebody who's really interested in doing it. Carly's already given me a template to start with, so it shouldn't take too long. And I'll send that out to all of you so that you know what's in it before it goes out. What's the deadline again, Carly?
Oh, this Friday.
This Friday. Okay, well, I will do that soon.
Yeah, so if you can get it to us by Thursday.
Yes. Great. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. I've invited Audrey to tell us a little bit about an Earth Day event that is being planned for April 23rd, which is the day after Earth Day. Audrey, do you want to give us some more info about that?
Yes, thanks, Tanner. It's really nice to see everybody today, and Happy New Year. I hope it's a great year for walking and biking in Norwalk. So the town green, our Norwalk Green, has been a site recently for some meaningful events that the First Taxing District is happy to allow these days, since they've loosened up on some restrictions on the use of the town green. So a Norwalk Earth Day celebration 2022 is in the planning stages. And we've locked in a date with First Taxing District for Saturday, April 23rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it's a free event, all are welcome. And we're not only celebrating our home planet, but want to invite and feature local groups and organizations that have vested interest in clean air, water, and soil to strengthen our community. And we would love to have the Bike Walk Commission be a participant in that because it advocates for safe walking and biking, which is great for the planet, as we know, cuts down on driving and pollution. This is a highly visible space in our city. It has historical note, and it's a traditionally community-oriented space, and has been getting more visibility. First Taxing District is happy about that, so it's sort of a win-win. And also, we've been trying, since last spring with some curated walks to make the town green area, the roadways around it, safer for walking and biking. It leads down to the Harbor Loop, which is part of the NRVT, and down to Wall Street. So that whole area, the Historical Society has been part of all of this as well. So we're going to be meeting as a steering team in early February, at which time we're going to ask groups to, if they're interested in participating, and to please save the date. And it may coincide with the farmer's market at First Congregational Church. This is on a Saturday. I've reached out to the First Congregational Church because I want to find out whether the farmer's market starts yet. Because that space, I don't know if you've been up there, there's a big slate patio at the stairs, the lead stairs into the church. And if they're not going to have a farmer's market there, that would be a great space for a bike demonstration. Is what I'm hoping the Bike Walk Commission might have a presence there, and on the green or whatever. But certainly that day, there's going to be a lot of groups interested in environmental issues. Yeah, so that foyer there, that outdoor foyer, is where the farmers market generally is on a Saturday. And if they're not going to start yet, that would be a great location for a bike gathering. So
when you say a bike gathering, do you mean like a bike repair opportunity or like a bike safety demonstration? Anything?
Whatever you want, from 11 to 3, whatever. We don't know yet. We haven't had we want to have live music on the in the gazebo, maybe some level of performance. We're inviting a lot of environmental groups, all kinds of, I know the Rowing Association will be there, for instance. Maybe they'll have some kayaks or something. So I don't know. We don't really know yet. So just put on your thinking caps. Right now we've got the date locked in, and it would be a highly visible way of community building and bringing people out to the town green. We had a Gratitude on the Green event just before Thanksgiving, and it was amazing how many people came out, including a lot of Common Council members. And then we had a tie-in with the tree lighting. So again, houses of worship participated. Community organizations came out. So we had a lot of great partnerships, and just making the town green a little more visible and making the groups a little more visible to the community. So that's a big invite, and we'll know more at the beginning of February, more details. So I would just say, tuck that bee in your bonnet for now.
Well, it sounds like a great opportunity to kick off the bike co-op summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
I'd be happy to set up a table with information about the commission. So Tanner, you and Sam want to do your co-op thing, and maybe I can convince Colin to help me at the table.
That would be great.
We could have a good presence there. And Christine?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I may have missed it. What is the date of it, Audrey?
It's Saturday, April 23rd.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 11 to 3.
You know what I would love if is my dream, is to, like, for the Memorial Day parade, it comes down that way, that we close the road and have a community bike ped walk,
You got to wait a few more weeks for that.
For what?
Oh, for Memorial Day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about a month later.
Yeah.
No,
But you know what?
That's what I'm saying is, they can close the road for the parade. Why can't they close the road for bicyclists and for a few hours and pedestrians and have a community event? That's what I'm asking.
Well, on
You
Earth
suggest-
Day, yeah, I'm hoping that we'll get some safe road closure in some way for Earth Day, depending on how many groups want to participate and what we want to do. So we've locked in the date, at least for the green, and let's see what we can do with the roadway even on that day.
Yeah, if you can get, maybe that's what our commission wants to focus on, though, is having an event like that.
Yep.
Sponsoring that, if we
So-
get the road.
A little bit of context here. We were, at one point, we were hoping to coincide the Earth Day celebration with, or at least I, in my conversation with Audrey, I was thinking maybe it would be cool to coincide the Earth Day celebration with the NRVT grand opening. We were going to have that. Okay, it's context for people who are new. The NRVT is the trail that runs north-south through Norwalk, and there's some gaps in it right now, and there's a gap that's being filled, that's being connected, and that should open up sometime in the spring. It was slated to open in like October of last year, and we were going to have a grand opening ceremony in October, but the project ran long, and so we didn't. And so because the construction's going to take a little longer, we can't really rely on it. According to Nancy, who's on the NRVT board, it won't reliably be done in time for Earth Day. So that grand opening will be probably in May or June. Audrey and I, together with some other people from the NRVT, we were planning the grand opening, and it was going to involve Christine, a similar group ride or group walk. Actually, we're going to do both down the trail itself, not on a road, but on the trail. So that's something that you can expect, that you can have on your radar. We don't have a date yet for it because we don't know when the trail will be done, but as soon as it's done, we'd like to do that. With that said, I don't see why we couldn't also do the same thing over Earth Day, but I think that we'd have to plan it some more. And probably, Audrey, would you appreciate having somebody from the Bike Walk Commission be on the steering committee or show up to the steering committee meetings?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be meeting on a Zoom. There's going to be a Zoom meeting on Thursday, but I think that's just for the people who were more connected with the Gratitude on the Green. But on February 10th, which I think is also a Thursday, the steering committee will be a working meeting. So what I can do is if Bike Walk Commission is interested in having somebody participate in that, we would love it, of course. Yeah.
Thanks. So in the past, this would have obviously been Barbara because she was our event planner extraordinaire. Now that we don't have her anymore, is there somebody else who would like to step up and be this liaison and kind of take charge of planning our component of this?
For Earth Day.
For Earth Day, yes.
For Earth Day.
Yeah, I can do that.
Good, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
Okay, I think it's going to be probably around 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon. Probably over at St. Paul's on the Green because they have a nice conference room. We're going to try and have an in-person meeting. That would be on February 10th. So I can get you more info, Judd.
Email me.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Audrey, I'm assuming that any of the members of the public here, if they wanted to volunteer, they could as well, correct? With you?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to, if people are connected with groups that want to be involved with this event. It's a great big space, big green space, or want to help out with the event itself. It would be wonderful to have. I see Emily has a chat, something in the chat too. So I can compile a list and try to keep in touch with people as we get closer. Thank you.
Evan, I don't mean to volunteer you, but if you're interested in helping out with something like this, in the past, non-commissioners have, done these kind of things with us.
Yeah, maybe I should be more clear about that. Basically, everything that we're working on, any opportunity for involvement is open not only to commissioners but also to non-commissioners. Basically, the only thing that commissioners have exclusive privilege to do is vote on motions that we have in the meeting.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't care. I'd love to have all the help we can get. Audrey. Oh, it looks like you guys connected in the chat. Great.
Oh, yeah. I got Emily's email here in front of the chat. Okay.
I did want to also, just quick for context for people visiting, explain what Sam and I were talking about. Sam and I, unrelated to the the Bike Walk Commission, excuse me, started a little volunteer bike repair group that we kind of called the Norwalk Bicycle Co-op. And we held events all through the summer last summer. And Sam was saying that this might be a good opportunity for us to kick off another season of that. So I think it's a great idea, Sam. And especially if we do that, then it would be good for somebody like Judd to take care of the commission's booth so we can do both. Cool.
Yeah,
Any
the
other?
earlier the better,
Go ahead.
right? Because the interest just compounds the earlier we get out there. So
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
Cool. To stay on schedule, I think we should move on. Any other comments though about Earth Day?
Tanner, Sherry just said she'd like to be part of this. So.
Oh, thanks everybody for keeping your eye on the chat.
Yeah, I'm collecting. I've got Emily's email address and Sherry. If you could put your email address in the chat, I will, and phone number, and I'll keep in touch with you both.
And Judd, if you could also connect with Sherry as far as having volunteer power at the event itself for our booth.
Okay.
Yeah, Sherry, if you wouldn't mind either direct messaging your email to Judd or Audrey, or just dropping it in the chat, that would be great. Okay, so moving on. what should we use our budget for? So actually, I have something to report on here. Earlier today, I met with David Hewelman, who's on the Common Council, as well as Elsa Obuchowski, who is on the First Taxing District Board. For context, the First Taxing District is the entity that owns and oversees the green. And the reason I met with them is because of bike racks. I'm going to share really quick. We have a map of all the bike racks in the city, and there's a huge gap right where the green is. And given that it's becoming more of a meeting place for events and such in the city, it seems like we should have some bike parking there, especially if we're going to hold like Earth Day events where we're trying to promote sustainable green transportation. So Elsa was initially a little bit hesitant for aesthetic reasons, but I showed her the pictures of the bike racks that we decided on as our like citywide bike rack standards. And she, after that, was much more on board with the idea. So the next steps there are for one or more of us to attend a First Taxing District Board meeting and make a little bit more of a formal presentation as to what we would propose. Now, this is something that could, in theory, come out of our budget. I previously spoken with James Emery, who is within TMP and is in charge of parking, because he was the one who oversaw the installation of the last bike racks that went in because they were on parking authority property. And he said that they'd be happy to install other bike racks that we have as needed. So I think we have installation covered, and potentially we have approval. We just need to find a funding source to actually purchase a rack. That would be the other chunk. So that's one thing I would propose to use our budget for, unless unless Greg, you can speak to TMP having budget for that. But either way, I think that the green would be a good place for a bike rack. Similarly, I've had a conversation going with Father Daniel from St. Paul's, and the leadership over there is also amenable to the idea of having a bike rack donated and installed on their property. In addition to that, there's a few other items that we could spend our money on. The League of American Bicyclists, both the membership and the meeting attendance fees. The NRVT grand opening that we were going to do in October, that's now going to be in May or June. The Friends of the NRVT Foundation had some money available for that, but I think they also were going to expect us to contribute some money to that as well. And then the last one, Judd and I opened up a thread with TMP about putting individual racks, the same hoop style rack, on busy like destination streets, like shopping streets, like Washington Street or North Main or Wall, places where somebody might want to walk up for just half an hour to go to a cafe or something like that, all up and down the street. So we have options, is my point, for what to do with our budget. This is our, besides recruiting, which we kind of already covered, this is our last agenda item, so we can just kind of have a discussion or brainstorming session here if we want to. Any thoughts about our budget?
I think all of those items generally sound good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris. Go
No,
ahead.
just about the, in the past, we had materials for the bike safety that I did those workshops with the campers. And I didn't do that last year because of the COVID, but it was like for copying and stuff. It wasn't a lot of money, but there was some money that was set aside for that. Teresa would know about that.
Yeah, I think I remember this, but it was not so much, right? It was on the order of maybe $50 or $100.
Maybe, yeah, it wasn't so much at all. Oh, the other thing I had this idea is to give out coupons to kids who are wearing their helmets and stuff in the neighborhood. And I thought we were going to partner with the Norwalk Police, but I tried to get off the ground several times. But in some cities, in some areas, the police give out coupons, like a ticket, but it's for an ice cream to kind of reward a child if they have a helmet on and stuff like that. I don't know.
Okay. Is that something that we would have to like pay for the coupons? That seems like the kind of thing that the business would probably just be willing to donate because it drives business.
Maybe, yeah, maybe I could look at that in the spring, yeah. Business about it.
Yeah, I think that, if we needed to cover the cost of like printing them, for example, or kick in maybe a little bit toward the value of the coupon, that might be reasonable as well. It seems like though that's a thread that we would need to start with the police department and like get a better idea of their buy-in and how feasible that would be. But like it's something we could keep in mind for using our budget. I should point out that our budget year runs July through June, and we have approximately $10,000. And so we would once July shows up, then we have the next year's budget to use. So stuff that is likely not to be used until then, we can worry about a little bit later.
Tanner,
Go ahead.
what about buying, 400 bicycle water bottles that say Norwalk Bike Walk Commission, and we give those out on things like Earth Day? Is that something,
Yeah, we've done similar things in the past, but in particular, I'm remembering a bag. When we went to the National Night Out, the police department's community event,
Right.
Somebody came up to us and showed us a picture. She had gotten a bag from us at one of our events and taken it with her to Aruba and had a picture of her with the bag on the beach in Aruba. I thought that was pretty cool.
Like Stu Leonard's.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, giving out some swag with our logo on it, I think is not a bad use of funds. I'm
just looking online now. Looks Discount Mugs sells them $1.55 a water bottle.
Tanner, I have someone local that could help us out with that probably.
With like obtaining swag and
Yep.
printing it.
Yep.
Cool. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we produce like 600,000 bottles a year too, so we could always go that route.
At Cannondale.
Yeah,
Say
Nice.
that again, Sam.
we produce 600,000 bottles a year at Cannondale, so
Wow. So
we could use some of those probably.
Tanner, what about bike helmets for kids?
Like to hand out at events.
Yeah, I mean, that we have $10,000. That's a lot of money. So
Sure.
bike helmets are, that's important.
Yeah, and I imagine that's the kind of thing that a family might forego if they're low on cash. They might feel like the kid has a bike, but they can't afford the helmet, and they can ride anyway. But if we could hand them out, that it might bridge the gap there. Yeah, that's a good idea. How about this? We're running low on time. We've got lots of ideas here, and I've made notes of them. Excuse me. How about anything that you've proposed? If you could bring a quantitative proposal, like a source and a unit price and a proposal of how many we should buy, and if it's something that needs to be installed somewhere or something for a collaboration like with the police department, some indication that we have buy-in from whatever partner we're working with, so that we can actually get the purchasing rolling. The whole point is that we need to, anything that we use our budget for, the purchasing needs to like be done by the end of June. Is that right, Greg?
Correct. Yeah. So by June 30th, basically all the funds need to be spent, or else it reverts back to the city. So spend your money.
Yeah. So we want, my point is that we should get that ball rolling as soon as possible. So get the move toward from ideas to actual proposals for purchasing, and then actually get the purchasing done.
Yeah. Told Tanner and, before this meeting, we don't want to wait until, third week of June to decide, how to spend the last $3-4 grand. And, we're scrambling to get it ordered before June 30th. So
why would you say that, Greg?
Say in the last 2 years.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we did a pretty poor job of that last year.
Rather not do that this year. So
Yeah,
especially
I'm with you.
6 months out. So let's get it spent.
Yeah, for context, last year we had to call a special meeting at the end of June to decide what we were going to do with our money. So we'd like to avoid that. Yeah, so is that sounding good with everybody? Next month, just bring a specific quantitative proposal for something to spend our money on. And actually, if you could just email it to me, and then I'll put together like a whole budget, and that way we can see where we are in terms of our total amount. And I'll get a budget going, as it were.
Okay.
Cool.
Sam? I got a question for Sam.
Yeah, I'm here, Judd.
Yep, on the water bottle thing, would you guys be able to help out with water bottles that said Norwalk Bike Walk Commission, or you're just saying Cannondale water bottles?
I need to check. I've never tried to order a custom print on one. I've just always used the ones that have our own branding.
Okay.
But we've done like special edition bottles for the Tour de France and Giro d'Italia. So
And-
I imagine, you know, if it's internal, like we could set something up. As with anything bike related right now, the big question is just lead time.
Right,
So
right, okay. I actually, yeah, I mean, I mentioned water bottles, but now I think Christine, you said helmets, and I think that's a better thing, and I'll get information to you, Tanner, but you know, I look online and you can buy 50 helmets at $11.15 a piece. So
yeah,
we
I
could
would
buy-
just advocate that we definitely buy CPSC approved helmets, and I can definitely be a lot of help here.
All right, I'll talk to you about that. So-
Yep.
But Jed, I like the idea of water bottles because that's a quick, easy giveaway, and those bags were very popular. When we were at National Night Out, people wanted those bags and even candy and stuff to attract them. But Carly seems to have an in with somebody that we can get the Bike Walk Commission on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can definitely do drawstrings, water bottles, literally anything printed. If you wanted the helmets printed, they could do that too.
Okay,
Also, I'm remembering Emily from a discussion that Emily had a little while ago. You work or you have contacts in this space, is that true? Or maybe in the graphic design space?
Yeah, I work for a marketing company. This is something, yeah, we do to some degree. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any part of this in particular that you would like to be involved in, or that you feel like you can help out with?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I wasn't so involved. This was for like designing water bottles, I think was the conversation, or just some sort of swag, right? For Bike Norwalk.
Yeah, I think we're looking at least a couple different kinds of swags, bottles and bags, and then also helmets. But I don't think we'd need to put our logo on the helmets. So yeah, I guess there's a couple pieces of this. There's finding the items and then getting them printed. I imagine that I guess, and then maybe a third, which is the graphic design, but we do already have a logo. We could probably just use that. Is there a part of that process that you'd be most well suited to help with?
Yeah, however, I can help there. We do have a graphic designer. We've done stuff with the Norwalk Parking Authority too, actually. We did their logo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of fun. But yeah, I have a team. I don't know. I haven't really gotten them involved with the Bike Walk Commission yet, but I could definitely use them as a resource for that. I don't know who, yeah, how would I get involved in that, or what would you need from?
Judd, you were the one who brought up the water bottles, and could you, and the help? I think Christine brought that. Well, regardless,
yes, I like helmets too. So
could you lead on putting together a proposal for swag?
Sure.
Definitely.
And
So
then
or swag around like the helmets, or just kind of using that Bike Walk Commission logo. Do you have that as an asset to give me, or?
I don't, but I bet I could find it, because I think I just need to ask Nancy, because I'm sure that she was the one who had it when it was done. Yeah, okay, so I will take care of finding those assets. Emily and Judd, will you work together on putting together a swag proposal
Sure.
for the event?
Yep.
I guess any swag that we want to purchase before the end of June.
And just kind of like price points for those, and like quantity wise, is that kind of what you were talking about before, just like in our budget or for the Bike Walk Commission budget, just like for this event, for the Earth Day event?
Well, if we could get it all together by then, but if not for this Earth Day.
Well, there's the NRVT grand opening as well that we'll have a lot of opportunity to give out swag for as well.
Yeah, and then, there's that night out at the police station. There's.
I think that's in the fall, but yeah, if
Right,
we
I
can
mean,
get it
all of
now.
this stuff can be used at those events to promote the commission.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody know, maybe Christine, you would know, because I know you were there, all the stuff that we were giving out at the National Night Out last year, where is it stored? Is it your
So I was
house?
gonna say that, it's the health department has a big closet. that we
Oh,
store
okay.
it There, yeah.
Gotcha.
Teresa's helpful about that, right, Teresa? We can store it.
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look and see what you guys have left. Because I know Barbara McCabe had come by before the last event and picked up a lot of, you had some bags left over. I think she got them all. So I'll have to see what is still in the closet. And then I put a link to the quick guide that I think you had in the past years had purchased several of those to give out. It was good educational material for smart cycling.
Mhm.
And then in terms of the copy job, that would just, you could just do a quick quote on Staples, but I do believe it was a lot more than $50 back when you first, back that first
Yeah.
summer, Christine, when you were
Yeah.
when you were doing it hardcore with a lot of the different camps, we did thousands and thousands of copies.
It might have been around 200, I think. Was it maybe 200 or, I don't think it was more than $500. But I'll look at my notes.
Okay.
I'll get back to Tanner about that. Thank you.
Yeah, so Jed and Emily are gonna work on like physical swag. Christine, will you work on anything that we would want to print, whether that's coupons that we collaborate with the NPD on, or flyers we might want to give out at events? Can you get back to me with a proposal about that?
Yes.
And then Sam, will you work with Judd and Emily about the water bottles and the helmets to the extent that you have contacts there?
Tanner, did you want me to work on that also?
Oh, yeah, remind me exactly what you can offer or what you would propose to do.
So my family owns a business doing anything and everything in printed.
So like printing on paper or on
No,
other stuff?
literally anything.
On literally
So
anything, great.
banners, water bottles, pens, drawstrings, you name it, they can put a logo on it.
So
Okay,
Carly, we should be in touch about this then.
Okay.
And
yeah, work with Judd.
Emily, sounds like you have experience with this.
Definitely.
Okay.
What's the best way to get in touch with everyone? I also see there's a message for Tanner, your email address. for
My
the-
email address,
or-
absolutely.
Yeah, the email for the committee. Like, is there some sort of like group?
Yeah,
chat?
so the commission does have an email address. It is Norwalk, I'll just put it here. Norwalk Bike Walk at Gmail. If you want to get a hold of me though, you're welcome to just email me directly. And I'll put my email address here as well. They both just go to me. And frankly, I check my personal one more often than I check the commission. So unless it's a message that you want to be around once I'm no longer chair, then just send it to me.
And Judd, I'll put my email address in the chat so that you can reach out to me.
But you're at redevelopment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
okay.
just C Kramer at Norwalk CT.
Yep. And Emily, you're at Schneider Group, right?
I am, yeah. My personal email is the best way to reach me though, and I'll put that in the chat again as well.
Okay, okay.
Quick request for Delene. I know the chat now has lots of good information, a lot of email addresses. And I think the chat disappears as soon as the call is over. So do you mind keeping the call running for a minute or two after we conclude the meeting?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so Judd, you're going to be point man for swag and work with Carly
Yeah,
and Emily.
Tanner.
Yeah.
Tanner, there's a save feature. I don't know what kind of file that goes to, but you can save the
On the
chat.
chat?
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
little
hot dang.
ellipsis down at the bottom. So anybody that needs that contact stuff can save it too. I'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, it just goes to a text document on
goes to
your
a
local
text
machine.
document. Okay.
That is the coolest thing I've learned all day. Sweet, good work. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so Judd, Emily, and Carly are gonna work on swag. Christine, you're gonna work on printing paper materials. I'm gonna write a letter of support for that grant. Sam had to drop, but Judd, if you need more info about water bottles and helmets, I think you can talk to Sam.
Yep.
Cool. Anybody else take a to-do item that I forgot about? Great. And I think I will move to, oh, let me do a quick note about recruiting. I'm glad to see a couple new faces today at our meeting. I want to hope that continues to happen. And those of you who have attended, if you want to keep showing up, that would be great. As far as official appointments to commission, we have a couple of vacancies now, and I don't make the appointments, the mayor does, but the mayor actually makes a recommendation to the common council and they vote on it. So anybody who has showed up to at least 2 meetings, I'm happy to just take your resume and pass it right on to the mayor. And he will do what he will with it. I admittedly, I'm not that close to the mayor because I haven't been here that long. So I can't make any guarantees, but if you have been to 2 meetings and you're interested, then please send me your resume and I will forward it. If you want to be an official commissioner, we would love to have you. As far as recruiting, I invite you all to, especially you official commissioners, obviously, if you have friends or connections that you think might be interested, please do invite them. But at this point, I think it would also be worth reaching out to other well-connected people you know within the city and asking them. I've been doing this a little bit, and we've had some decent results, and I hope to find more people that way. But we'd love to get more people involved. So that's all. At this point, I think I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, cool. Then I think we're good. Thanks again, everybody, for attending.
You got to vote.
Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
Thanks,
It passes
Delene.
unanimously. Thanks, Delene.
Good
Thanks, everyone.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
thank you, Tanner. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Emily.
Tanner, you still want me to leave it open for a little bit?
I think we're good. Sherry's last name is Brennan, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and here's your email. And then I think we're good.
Yeah, BRENNAN.
Yes. Okay, cool. Good meeting today. Thanks again for your help.
No problem.
Okay, I think you're good to
Bye, guys.
kill
Thanks
it
for
now.
having me.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.